Kass, Opera Philadelphia Scholar in Residence, and it is my pleasure today to introduce you to Simone Boccanegra, an opera with music by Giuseppe Verdi and a libretto by Francesco Maria Piave and Arrigo Boito. In this short video, I will give a brief overview of this opera, which although it is beloved by many avid opera fans, is not nearly as well known as many of Verdi's other works. Simone Boccanegra has a confusing plot, even by operatic standards. I will give the broad strokes here, but my colleagues have created a comprehensive 9-minute long video complete with helpful animations that gives a play-by-play of the opera's synopsis, and I welcome you to view that as well. As we might expect from the title, the central figure of the opera is Simone Boccanegra. Boccanegra is a well-known corsair or pirate, and Pietro and Paolo, plebeian men who want to control the government of Genoa, convince him to become the leader or doge of the region. Boccanegra only agrees to be nominated as doge because he thinks it will impress the man he wishes to become his father-in-law, Jacopo Fiesco. Fiesco is a patrician who is furious with Boccanegra for having had a relationship with his daughter Maria against his express wishes, a relationship that has recently resulted in the birth of their child, a daughter also named Maria. Boccanegra tells Fiesco that he is being elected doge, hoping that Fiesco will finally grant him Maria's hand in marriage. Fiesco says he cannot forgive Boccanegra until Boccanegra reunites him with his granddaughter. Boccanegra cannot meet this demand since his daughter Maria has disappeared and even he cannot find her. Fiesco is even more furious and grief-stricken, as it turns out. When Boccanegra sneaks into Fiesco's home to check on his beloved, he finds that she has died. His grief at her death combines with the people's joyous shouts that Boccanegra has been named Doge of Genoa in a finale full of dramatic irony. This in itself could be the plot of an opera. However, it's just what takes place in the short prologue. Time passes after the prologue, and Act 1 opens 25 years later. Boccanegra's lost daughter Maria appears all grown up, known to all as Amelia Grimaldi. What ensues in the next 3 acts is a combination of political intrigue and personal drama. As Maria discovers who she really is, Boccanegra finds his daughter, and Fiesco reunites with his granddaughter. Maria's love affair with Gabriele Adorno, who turns out to be one of her father's enemies, complicates matters, as do multiple assassination attempts on Simone Boccanegra's life. In the end, Fiesco and Boccanegra unite in their love for Maria before Boccanegra succumbs to a slow-acting poison administered to him by his enemies. The perpetrators of the shady political dealings are punished, and Gabriele Adorno is named the next Doge of Genoa. Why would Verdi be interested in writing the music to a drama about the details of political life in 14th century Genoa? His most popular operas up to that point, Il Trovatore and La Traviata, had been full of family drama and societal commentary. But starting with his 1848 opera La Battaglia di Legnano, which takes place in 12th century Milan, Verdi began to write works that were more overtly based in history and politics. Verdi was writing these operas during an important period in Italian history known as the Risorgimento, in which certain factions fought for separate city-states to come together into one unified Republic of Italy. The process of unification began in 1848, and Italy was unified in 1861, with Rome becoming the capital of the new republic in 1871. Verdi's association with the Risorgimento is well known, and even his name was co-opted as a pro-unification chant. People would yell "Viva Verdi" as a shorthand for "Viva Emanuele, Re d'Italia," long live Emmanuel, King of Italy. Scholars often find musical evidence for Verdi's sympathy with the Risorgimento in the composer's rousing opera choruses, such as the chorus of Hebrew slaves Va Pensiero from Nabucco. In Simone Boccanegra, a semi-historical work that highly dramatizes the life of the real Simone Boccanegra in a libretto adapted from a Spanish play, Verdi found a text that could speak to these themes more strongly and directly than ever before. When the opera premiered in 1851, it was probably clear to many members of the audience that it was a political allegory. However, the opera did not take off in popularity. Critics instead bemoaned the fact that this opera had fewer catchy tunes than Verdi's previous work, and fewer opportunities for singers to show their bel canto, or beautiful singing, techniques. Simone Boccanegra depends heavily on the orchestra for its dramatic effects, and its complex plot and political urgency required that much of the singing be accomplished in less melodic recitatives, a form of singing that is closer to speech. Italian audiences were a bit taken aback that their native composer seemed to be drawing on Richard Wagner's German techniques of music drama in this opera. 30 years later, in 1881, Verdi's publisher Ricordi decided it was time for Simone Boccanegra to get a makeover. Arrigo Boito, a composer in his own right and Verdi's librettist for his final operas, Otello and Falstaff, was recruited to rework the libretto. Now that Italy was unified, Verdi did not have to worry about things like Austrian censors objecting to the Italian patriotism in his work, and he could be more transparent in his political leanings. Boito and Verdi added the famous council scene, in which Simone Boccanegra rousingly proclaims the importance of peace and unity for Italy. Simone Boccanegra shows us how historical events can have productive resonances centuries later, and that the facts of history are always animated by the human motivations and actions that spur it along. Verdi's music gives gravitas to the importance of collaboration across difference, and sweetness to the common desire of all humans to love and be accepted as part of a family or community. This opera offers the full spectrum of music drama, from passionate love duets to chaotic crowd scenes to soliloquies in which characters wrestle with their personal demons. If you are already a lover of Verdi, you may be thrilled to recognize his early style, even as you hear evidence of its creative expansion during his middle period. I encourage all audience members, whether you are experienced opera goers or opera novices, to let Simone Boccanegra take you on a journey. You don't need to understand the nuances of its historical references, or even keep track of the various aliases and political leanings of each character to be immersed in its compelling exploration of humanity. We look forward to welcoming you to Simone Boccanegra.